Hey guys, Woods Farm here. Just back working on the 222 Scout Car project. Gonna work on this steering system, try to get some progress made on that. Here's the custom bracket that mounts the gearbox, the 90-degree gearbox that gets the steering wheel on the orientation that it needs to match the original. So the best I can tell, the steering wheel is mounted a third over. I took one measurement from a photo and it looked like it was roughly 1/3 over. The vehicle isn't kind of laid out like a regular car. There's not a passenger seat, so it's not really split down the middle, and the driver's stuff is on the left and the passenger is on the right. But looking at all the different photos that I have, it's very difficult to get a sense of the actual angle of the steering wheel, because the photos are all kind of taken from different angles. So we had to make a few compromises, I think, and more or less we just looked at the photos and kind of eyeballed it. There was also some considerations with the steering column and making sure that the linkage that goes from the gearbox to the steering box has clearance from the steering wheel itself. So I think we've got a pretty good representation of what it looks like, and it seems to be comfortable when you're sitting in the vehicle. So we're going to go with it. It's almost as if you're looking at different photos and it's actually mounted differently. Obviously there was different versions, so that's also a possibility. So again, we're just trying to do the best with what we have. The gearbox that they use on the original was a lot more compact, and that's also something that we have to deal with. So again, like I said, just kind of splitting the difference and eyeballing it is where we're at with the steering wheel position. Okay, I've got a mounting plate welded to the framework, and that's going to be the basis for the way you bolt on the gearbox bracket. Again, I'm trying to design everything so it's removable and serviceable at some level. When it comes to making a vehicle like this, it's really easy to just start welding pieces onto stuff. But if you don't think about being able to, disassemble it and repair it, replace parts down the road, you can run into some serious trouble. Even thinking about clearances for bolts, nuts and bolts, is something you do have to consider, because when the vehicle's in this state, you might have access to something and then you put plates and sheathing and all that kind of stuff on it, and you're not going to have access and be able to actually remove that hardware. Okay, there's the bracket all finished. The gearbox gets bolted into the bracket, and the bracket in turn gets bolted into the framework of the car. That's the mounting plate that the bracket gets bolted to. And now that this is done, we can move on and start working on the steering column that goes down to the steering box. Okay, so the steering box or the gearbox is installed and the steering column is also set up. So we now have the steering column going down from the gearbox into the steering box, 2 U-joints and a shaft, and everything is set up and working. So all we need to do now is get a steering wheel and hook up the ball joints and the tie rod system at the bottom end, and this thing will steer. I might reinforce the back end of this steering box here, gearbox. I'm thinking I can bolt on another set of brackets or maybe have something extend out. There's going to be a cross piece that goes across, which will provide a point for the dash panel to be bolted to, and it's going to run right over top of this. So I might add some more support in there, but as it stands I think it's pretty solid. There's just a little bit of flex, but I think it's going to work. Kind of just hold the steering wheel there and you can kind of get a sense of what's going on. This, I don't think this is the steering wheel we're going to use. I've got 2 options now. We're going to custom fabricate a steering wheel from scratch, or I'm going to order a tractor steering wheel and modify it. I've got this gear here, the splined gear, and that actually fits on here. So the idea is either to adapt this splined gear to a steering wheel that we purchase, or we use this as the central hub to build a steering wheel from scratch. So those 2 options are on the table right now.